and snap your fingers, then you lean back. All out of state, on the day they never seen that. Ain't back, throw and snap your fingers, then you lean back.
Hello and welcome to Viti Vibes TV, your one and only show by and for the Fijian youth. If you would like to be a part of this show, please call us or let us know. I am your host, Tasha Chand. The month of May is Physiotherapy Awareness Month. Physiotherapists are individuals who work on rehabilitation for your body. They are a great resource if you have suffered an injury. The month of May is also Asian Heritage Month. The first settlement of Asians were brought to Canada for the building and completion of the Canadian Pacific Railways in 1881 to 1885. These workers were needed as a labor force, but not deemed desirable as citizens because of their country of origin. Now, the population of Asian Canadians is around 1.5 million. They make up of about 20.2% of the Canadian population. With the summer soon approaching, please keep an eye on elderly as we may experience heat waves in the coming season. Be sure to check on your elders to make sure they're comfortable in their homes as well as children and your pets. No show is complete without the support from our sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor this show or any other show that we bring to you on a weekly basis, please call us at the number in our credits. We will now take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. If you would like to be a sponsor of our show, you can call us at the number at the end of the credits.
I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005. Bollywood Banquet Hall and Conference Center, located at Pile Business Center at 201-8166 128th Street in Surrey. No celebration is too small to accommodate you. They have newly renovated 2 halls to serve you, up to 1,000 guest capacity, top-notch chefs to delight you with delectable and heavenly cuisine. So just call Bollywood Banquet Hall at 604-598-2700 for your events.
Benisi Mobile Detailing Services. They offer commercial trucks, cars, SUV, boats, bikes, RVs, and much more. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859 and they will do all kind of services at your home.
Thank you, sponsors. Now we have our director, Shannon Permal, in the studio to talk about older sibling syndrome. So please, have a look.
Hello and welcome back to Viti Vibes TV. I'm your director and host, Shannon Permal. Today, I'm joined in the studio by none other than my lovely co-host, Tasha Chan.
Hello.
Tasha, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that we both can speak a little bit on. Is it called older sibling syndrome? It's this phenomenon or syndrome, as it's coined, basically being an older sibling. Yeah. Tasha and I are both ourselves older siblings, and we have a life's worth of experience.
Older siblings, and we're the oldest.
Oldest. Yes. So
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, oldest. Sorry. So, for those that don't know, so there's an actual definition. I'll give you that. So the oldest child syndrome refers to a number of characteristics. English is not English today. Number of characters.
Morning,
I know, right? It's a number of characteristics people develop as the result of being the eldest child. So Tasha and I. For instance, following the birth of another baby, the firstborn goes from being the only child of their parents to having to share their parents' love with their younger siblings. For a lot of you guys watching, you might be the eldest child of your family too. So you might relate to some things that we're saying. You might not. I don't know. But we're going to talk about it a little bit. So there's eldest child syndrome, and then there's like eldest female daughter syndrome, eldest daughter syndrome. Yeah,
and then
2 things.
And then there's that. So it's eldest female child
Yeah.
whatever syndrome, and then you put that in a brown household.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We're gonna go through all of it
Oh my
today.
God.
But Tasha, being the oldest sibling, the oldest of your family,
Yeah.
what do you feel like kind of your responsibility, or like what's your role that you play?
Yeah. Okay, well, first, before we get into that, I just want to say everyone noticed Shannon did something to her hair, and it looks great, and it looks amazing if you didn't notice. But I would... okay, sorry, what was the question?
So basically, the oldest child syndrome, right?
Yes.
So obviously there's certain characteristics
Right.
being an older sibling.
Right.
So what are some of the like roles and responsibilities that you feel you have to like
You're right.
that
What
you
was my
embody?
role in the family?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I was younger, I feel like I think also I think this varies like household to household a lot too.
For sure.
Because it also depends on how the younger sibling is, right?
Yes.
So I feel like the characteristics are gonna evolve of the eldest child in the family
Mhm.
as kind of adapting to how the younger like child is
Mhm.
growing up and what their personality is like, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully for me, like my brother, he's only like a year and 3 days younger than me, but he was like we were both like really good like kids, like you know what I mean? Like he
Mhm.
didn't like get up to try, like I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I had to like have responsibility in that sense of like oh, like, you know, you did something wrong, so you have to blah, 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 blah. Like, he
Mhm.
never really, like, went through that phase. But I was very... And, like, I think that's why sometimes he still behaves, even though we're grown and now. Like, grown. He still behaves that way. Like, my friends just, like, mentioned to me, like, literally, like, a month ago, they're just like, why is Nav like this with you? Like, even in public.
Yeah.
And it's because, like, I'm literally like a second mom
Yeah.
to him. Like, I always have been ever since we were little. And so even though he was always a good kid, he didn't really, like, you know... get in like that much trouble and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I was always like on it with him. I was
Yeah.
always very like aware of what my parents were saying and just very like, okay, well, I feel like I'm responsible for the way he turns out. Like I genuinely thought like my brother's experience in high school was 100% on me. Like I was like, if he messes
Because your parents
up,
aren't there to watch it, but you are.
yeah, and also because I was like, I was the first one to get into high school,
Yeah.
right? And so I was like, I feel like I have to like if he does anything wrong, I just felt like it's on me, even though my parents never really said that. But I was
Yeah.
like, I just felt like, okay, it's on me because I just genuinely felt like his upbringing was it was on me.
Oh,
And so
okay.
yeah, and so I was just like, okay, like you better not mess up. Like I remember even having a talk with him one time. Like I was like, when he was in elementary school, he was like grade 7. I was like, you think this is a joke? I was like, I had this exact conversation. I'm like, you get into high school? I was like, things are so much harder. I was like, your grades are gonna have to step it up. I was like, you're so lazy. You don't even do anything. Blah, blah, blah. Like I was like going in. I'm like, you think that this is gonna be like you're laughing now?
Yeah.
Like da 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 da. Like I would like hammer things into his head of like you need to be like this. You need to do this. Like
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And obviously just like the regular like okay, if you need help with this, like I've done this. Like come to me. Like I can help you. Like da 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 da.
Yeah.
So high school, I feel like 100% was just like his second mom.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he flourished, and I always tell him, like, if he ever does a speech anywhere, he has to thank me, because I think I definitely played a role in his accomplishments in life.
Oh, for real. Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
But I think now, as we've gotten older, I think especially in the last, like, few years, I think maybe just because like, of our age or something like that, like, I think he's really like become just this amazing individual.
Yeah.
And so
Shout out to Nav.
Yeah, shout out to Nav.
Yeah.
And so I think we just kind of now like piggyback off of each other
Yeah.
more so. Like I don't necessarily feel like, oh, I'm the eldest like sibling now. I think we've just kind of like, oh, we're basically like the same age now.
Yeah.
We
Now you guys are
always were.
like friends rather
Yeah.
than like
Yes.
siblings, like you're the parent kind
he's,
of thing.
He's 100% like one of my like best friends, and I'm so like grateful for that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so now it's just kind of like we're like friends who
Mhm.
just happen to be siblings and like living together and
Yeah.
all that type of stuff. And so we piggyback off of each other now more than like but there will still be situations
Oh, 100%.
sometimes where I'm like, where like the motherly side of me comes
Yeah.
out and I'm like, Nav, like,
Stop it.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
I 100% get that. Even for me and my sister. So I have a younger sister as well.
Right. How many years is she?
She is almost like 18 months younger than me.
Okay, almost.
So like a year and a half
right,
ish.
right, okay.
So she was always, she's the polar opposite of me.
Yeah.
But even regardless of that, I've always felt like I had to watch her.
Right.
Because like that's just my job.
Right,
Right. I just
right.
no one had to tell me that. I mean, even though I was also like, oh, you got to watch out for your sister, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, yeah.
But still, like, I always assume that role as well,
Yeah.
even without being told.
Yeah.
And, like, even when someone, like, say she would tell me about, like, some person, or I'd find out someone just trying to, like, mess with her in school or something, I'd be like, who, what, where? Like,
you just get very protective.
exactly,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I've always assumed that role kind of thing. But, like, obviously now that we're all adult children, right? We're adult children now that we're, like, kind of a little bit more friends. Obviously, she's still my younger sister, so I'm, like, I am a super bossy. I will say that. I am super bossy because I feel like I know better. I know. When it comes to me and my sister, I'm not like this with everybody at all. Just with my sister, I feel like I know everything kind of thing. And I think it's just that whole thing of, like, I've experienced life before you kind of thing, right? And, like, I kind of know these things already. So it's like, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. And I feel like our parents would obviously say the same thing, where they don't want us doing that. But I'm like, because we're closer in age, it's even more like, you think you know what's up, you don't know what's up, right? Kind of thing. Like, it's more like that kind of approach. But obviously, studies would say that older siblings tend to experience overachieving, like, as their main thing.
It's
like,
one of their things. Like, they always feel
that's one of their traits.
A lot.
Yeah, they are overachievers and they're natural leaders.
Yeah.
And I totally get that because even for me, just like being the oldest, I've always had to be the overachiever.
Yeah.
And because I think also because our parents have always nitpicked us for everything because it's like, it's the first child, you don't want to mess it up, right? Yeah. And then it's like, if you mess it up, then the other one's going to be messed up, whatever, right?
Right.
I don't know.
That's
parents,
their perspective usually.
Parents, let us know what you, is that, why?
Yeah. We're not parents.
Right? But, like, I've definitely, like, been held under a magnifying glass, right? And I think it's that whole, saying where it's like, we walk so you can run.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so true. Right? That's so true. Even when it would come to, like, the littlest things, like, for example, I know, like, back in high school for us, like, getting a cell phone was like a huge deal, right?
Dude, don't talk to me about the cell phone because I literally had a sliding full, like, keyboard phone as my first phone, and then my sister, she got an iPhone. And I'm like, what? I got cut off at an early age, but my sister, she's always, like, for my mom, her nickname's Goody. Yeah. So, like, to my mom, she's like, oh, my little Goody, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what about me? It's
just always, I don't know how to explain it, but, like, you just kind of also get used to the fact of, like, okay, I'm gonna always have to, like, take the brunt of things, and like, it'll be a little harder for me in those sense of, like, breaking down barriers and stuff like that, 100%. and they'll have it easier. Cause I remember, like, the same time that I got a cell phone, like, my brother got a cell phone. I was like, you're like, but last year, when I was, like, his age or in his grade, like, there was no conversation about this. But now he just gets it because I got it. Like, I remember being hella salty at that time.
No, because it's like, you're salty. Equal, but it's like, no, we're not equal. You made me wait. Yeah. And now they don't have to wait. Like, we got them cut deadlines. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. No, my sister, we definitely had that same experience as well.
Right? But, like, going back to, like, what you're saying about, like, overachieving or, like, being leaders and stuff like naturally, quote unquote, leaders, I feel like, I can totally empathize with you on that. Like, it just, like, I don't know if you felt this, but I feel like maybe I felt this a part of the times where it was like, I kind of have to set an example. So, like, 100%. I want to achieve all these things and da-da-da because, like, again, I don't know, like, you just 100% feel like, oh my god, like, that's, like, for me, like, oh, that's, like, my little brother, and, like, I want him to know that, like, you can do these things and you can, like, achieve these things and blah, 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 blah. So you go on achieving these things and doing those things in the start because of that reason, and then it just becomes your personality, and then you start dealing with other issues when you become an adult, and you're like,
tell me about it.
You know, like, I feel like it just manifests into different things when you grow older, when it's not helpful, and that's some things that you gotta, like, work on or whatever. But, and also, like, I just feel like, I just thought of this, like, when you were saying this, I was like, I think the reason why we feel like, or eldest siblings are usually, like, in a form of, like, a leader, or, like, we feel protective, like, you know, I think it's because when you're, like, younger, and, like, as you mentioned, like, you're the only child for a little bit, for however long, right? Yeah. And then when that, like, baby comes into your life, like, you feel like oh my god, like I need to also like you kind of emulate like what your parents are doing.
Yeah.
You see them taking care of this baby and stuff like that. So you feel like, oh my god, this person is like smaller than me. Like I'm older than them. Like I think we register at least that much.
Yeah.
And then like, because I see my like niece doing it right now too.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, okay, and I see like everybody else taking care of this baby. Like I also need to take care of this baby. So I think maybe that's also kind of like where it comes from.
Oh,
like,
I think so. Yeah,
younger.
no, for sure.
Yeah.
So in terms of like, okay, we've talked about like the older sibling syndrome, eldest child syndrome. It's all synonymous. Same to same. But in relation to Fijian household, how do you think this changes the whole situation? What's like the Fijian specific eldest child syndrome?
Okay, okay, from my experience, I don't know if you experienced this, but I think especially for like, you know, immigrants, they have this like extra pressure or like this extra maybe fear that their kids are gonna like go on the wrong path or like this or that. And so especially when you're the eldest, like there's so much pressure in that sense, because it's like you're trying to find that balance of like, yeah, I'm Fijian, or yeah, I'm brown, or yeah, I'm Indian, yeah, I'm Punjabi, or like whatever it is. Yeah, I'm this, but I'm also like Canadian. So it's like I want to experience, you know, my culture in the sense of like we live in Canada. I want to experience the Western, like, you know, I want to be able to like do these things and and like all my friends are doing it and this and that at like a certain age or like whatever. Like high school is usually like a primitive like time,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, so it's like you're one way at school and you're like having all this like influence at school and I want to do this and I'm at this age, I should be able to blah, 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 blah. But then at home, it's like a complete different story. And because like, I feel like, again, I can't like speak for parents because I'm not a parent, but as far as I know, it's just very like fear-based, right?
Yeah.
So it's very like, you're the eldest child. So you're the example. And also it's kind of like, oh, what are other people going to say? People are watching us and you're the eldest. So you have to lead by example of being the golden star, good child, getting the good grades, doing good, not ending up in trouble. God forbid some auntie or someone sees you like walking the street with some boy or something or at some store and you're just like talking to somebody.
Oh my god, that is such a real thing.
You guys don't understand. The littlest things. You could be so innocent. You could be literally at a store like ordering, you could be at the gas station ordering a Slurpee.
This has happened to me.
Like you don't
this has happened to me.
Every little thing, and in that moment, I think because they know that, like, especially teenagers in high school is such a, like, oh my God, time period in Western and Canadian society and American society and all that type of stuff, where, you know, you get introduced to all these different things, all that type of stuff, right? Yeah. And so based on that, and also, like, our parents were kids at one point. They were teenagers. They know what's up. They know what it is. That's also one of the reasons why they are even more overly protective, because they've either done that or they know what's up and they don't want you know, experiencing that, which that's a whole other conversation, I feel like. But so it's just like, because it's like, oh, everyone's watching us, you're the eldest child, you are leading by example, you have to be perfect. Like that's basically what you're like told by your parents. It's like you actually have to be perfect because everybody's watching you.
Oh, 100%.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so, like literally. I'm at a loss for words because you've summed it up.
Yeah. And so because that's the case, especially during your high school years, like the 5-6 years, like I would say even like a bit before high school. Yeah. So like a total of like 5-6 years. But then it's like, okay, fine. You survived the high school years, whatever. And then as the eldest child, when you're in university, it's like, okay, so you're going to do something like, it's gonna be amazing. Like it's gonna be like a life change. Like you're gonna like be something great, right?
You're the because person.
Because you're like the like, oh, what are you doing? Again, everybody's watching. Everyone's asking me. Oh my god. Yeah. Well, you know what's he doing? Oh my gosh, she's eldest. What is she doing?
Yeah, right.
Is she becoming a doctor or no? Like you know what I mean? Like it's just. I think because brown families, no matter what background or ethnicity in specific, like just brown families or just even like any immigrant family, like they just have this different kind of pressure on them overall, especially because it's like, you know, they came here. Exactly. They sacrificed so much, right? Obviously. Yeah. And so they, on top of like what other people and all that societal things, they themselves, I feel like parents feel the pressure of like, okay, well, our kids have to turn out great and our eldest child has to turn out great, because if the eldest child doesn't turn out great, then we're stressing about the younger child.
Or they just feel like they failed, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's another thing, yeah.
They 100% associate how the child turns out to their success as parents.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, not gonna lie, I feel like I would probably feel that way too in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, but again, because of like, everything is new to them and like everything, they haven't experienced this before, and that's why it's like, you know, usually the younger sibling has it a bit easier when it comes to experiencing new things or doing new things or whatever, because it's like, okay, they understand a bit better now because like the eldest child had to like go through it, like whatever. So I do think like, yeah, in an immigrant household and like being Fijian and like being brown, and then adding to that, if you're a daughter specifically,
I feel like we need another episode for just that.
don't you dare be out here looking any type of way,
right?
And if you do,
if you fall off track,
you're going back to Fiji.
Yeah, literally.
I didn't even come from Fiji, but you're coming back. You're going back to Fiji.
You're gonna go there.
Yeah, literally. Like I don't want to say it's like necessarily quote unquote trauma from it. Like it's not trauma. I think trauma for me, specifically speaking for me, I think trauma is like a exaggerated word for me. But it's just like, it's just sometimes you're like, it didn't have to be that extreme. You know what I mean?
No, now that we're older, we can laugh about it because we've like done our time, right?
Yeah.
But it's such a like funny thing that like being the oldest sibling comes with like all these different things, right? Yeah. And one thing I just kind of piggybacking off what you were like talking about too, one thing I feel like the older sibling always has to take harsher punishments.
Oh, 100%.
That's just it.
Because I feel like that stands true for like maybe like the rest of your life also, not just when you're younger, because I just feel like in our parents' minds, again, I'm not parents, but like I'm not a parent, but like in our parents' minds, it's like they just naturally hold you to a higher standard. So anytime throughout your lifetime, whatever, if you mess up in any capacity or whatever, like however they feel towards that mess up is going to be completely different than your younger sibling.
Yeah, no, 100%.
100%. Because they think like, okay, you're supposed to know better. Yeah. You're supposed to be more responsible. You're supposed to be more this. Obviously not realizing that we're all human at the end of the day, and we're trying to figure this
very
out.
Type A.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to be very type A.
You have to be very, very type A, because also it's like survival. Like
Literally.
you're trying to actually survive out here.
That is a thing. But just to quick, because we are running out of time, and I know we can go off still on just the characteristics alone. But there are actually long-term effects from
Wait, what?
No, for real though. Like if like this phenomenon, when you feel that much pressure and everything, right? When you feel like you have to be a second parent, you have all these expectations on you, it could also affect your mental health, right?
Oh, 100%.
And so that's the thing. So for older siblings specifically, there's also like a whole younger sibling situation.
Yeah.
They have their own experience.
Or even middle child.
Yeah, middle child syndrome is a thing. But yeah, we'll have our...
We're not discriminating.
We're just talking because we can talk about like being the oldest of our siblings, but obviously maybe we should get our younger siblings on here.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
But long-term effects with these sort of like pressures for an older child could include difficulty establishing relationships with other peers, problems in the workplace like lack of assertiveness, development of mental health issues such as depression. Yeah. These are all things that could come out of it, because even though we're like laughing like, oh, being the eldest sibling, but when you have that much pressure on you as well, it could also create stresses like and create problems within your own like mental health as well. And that's something that obviously like that would need to be addressed, right?
Sorry, and I just quickly want to mention on here, based off of what you said, also like the whole mental health aspect of it. I think as an eldest child as well, you feel somewhat responsible. So not only for your sibling, but also maybe for your parents' happiness and your parents' well-being. Yeah. And so like, and that mentally can take a lot of toll. And also just not even your parents, but even just maybe family stuff that might be going on. You feel like maybe you have to take control of things and help in any and every situation, or be the one that, like, I see this on Instagram all the time where it's like, oh, having to accept that you can't change the way your parents are or the way that 100%. They were brought up. Yeah. And I think a lot of times we think like, oh, you know, why are our parents like this, or why can't they do that? And as an eldest child, we feel like we have to fix it all, right? Not realizing that there are majority of the time stuck in their ways because that's how they were brought up, right? And so sometimes it's also just like mentally, it's just like you just have to come to a place and realizing of like, I'm only one person. I guess I'm the eldest child, but like not everything is my responsibility. And you have to actually come to terms with that. And be like, you have to be okay with things being the way they are sometimes. Like you can't force anything, you can't change everything, and
100%.
you're not responsible for, you know, things that happen in your family or like whatever, you know?
And that's something you just have to deal with. And how to deal with it, sometimes you need to give yourself a break.
Yeah.
That's just as simple as it is. Like, you can't just take on that much on yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because it will affect you one way or another in the long term. But yeah, that's kind of like our little bit of our older experience as elderly sibling experience. And I'm glad, Tasha, I had this conversation with you. I feel like we have a lot to say about these sort of things.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're an older sibling, like, have you been able to agree with any of these? Have you felt any of the ways that we've maybe felt?
Yeah.
Let us know as well. You can reach out to us too and let us know your thoughts. You can reach out on Facebook or Instagram at Viti Vibes TV. But with that being said, we're just running out of time for today, so we hope you enjoyed the show as we did talking about this topic. We'll see you all again next week.
Remember, this is your show. If you're a youth and would like to come on the show, we would love to hear from you. With that being said, we have a few announcements of events you may like to attend, so please have your pen and paper ready. Khalsa Reunion 2023 will be taking place at the Khatri Hall in Ba, Fiji Islands on July 29th and July 30th. Get your tickets ASAP, and for more information, go onto the Khalsa College Reunion Facebook page. One of the biggest Alzheimer's Walk will be taking place on May 28th in Burnaby. Alzheimer's affects 85,000 people in BC. You may know a loved one who has been affected by Alzheimer's or dementia, so please go out and support them at walkforalzheimers.ca. We have run out of time, but we hope you enjoyed our show as much as I did bringing it to you. If you missed our show today, you can always watch it on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. in BC and 5:30 in Alberta. No show is complete without your support, so please reach out if you want to know how you can support this youth show. You can reach out to Camilla Singh at 604-537-5123. Also, please don't forget to watch Fiji Focus on Tuesdays at 10 p.m., Thursdays at 2:30 p.m., and Sundays at 4 p.m. Asian Pulse TV on Wednesdays at 2:30 p.m., Thursdays at 8:30 p.m., and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m., as well as the Camilla Singh Talk Show on Mondays at 10 a.m. and repeat on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. All our shows are uploaded on YouTube, so please watch, like, and share. Now, before we wrap up this episode, I will leave you with this thought. Let a good person do good deeds with the same zeal that an evil person does bad ones, by Shalom Rokech. With that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day and an amazing long weekend. I am your host, Tasha Chan, signing off.
Ain't fat, double shot your fingers, then you lean back. All out of state, going to they never seen that. Ain't fat, double shot your fingers, then you